I want to jump into both conferences playoff picture. We'll start with the AFC. And I think what we're seeing in the AFC right now is a very clear delineation between the elite and then the next group. And that elite has been the same for the last few years. You have Cincinnati when they've been up there, so they've dropped off for a year. But you have Kansas City, you have Buffalo, and you have Baltimore. All three of those teams, I think have created separation between themselves and the rest of the conference. Part of it, of course, is the quarterbacks: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. All those guys have played at an MVP level this year. All three of those guys, I think, are capable of winning multiple championships. We've already seen it with Mahomes, not with the other two yet. And this weekend showed that Buffalo, as much progress as Denver has made, is clearly a step ahead. That Baltimore is clearly a step ahead of Pittsburgh in the AFC North. And I think Kansas City, of course, is in that group. Now, the interesting twist to this one is where Houston stands. Because I think what we saw, and I talked to a couple of Houston people over the weekend on this, I think what we saw is Houston has the the core of a team that can compete with that can level up to that pedestal, that can get up and eventually compete with the Kansas Cities, with the Buffaloes, with the Baltimores. But it's going to take a couple things for that to happen. It's going to take CJ Stroud to play at a high level. It's going to take the offense to operate at a high level. It's going to take the offensive line to play better than it has. Obviously, health's affected them at receiver. They were able to get better production out of the position. Xavier Hutchinson, who's not Tank Dell, who's not Stephon Diggs, was able to make a big play to help turn the ship on Saturday against on Saturday against the Chargers. So you start to see some of those things. And the defense was fantastic. And you see Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson on the outside, and what they've got now at the corner position with Derek Stingley Jr., who may be the best corner in football, maybe right behind Patrick Surtain, and then opposite him, a rookie and Kamari Lassiter, and a defensive coaching staff with D'Amico Ryans and Matt Burke that is really pulling on all cylinders. That's a team that's capable of being scary. And they've sort of stumbled around this year. And CJ's had a little bit of a sophomore slump. I think the offense in general has showed some growing pains in its second year under Bobby Slowick. Now, if they're coming out of that, and that was a sign of them coming out of that, and the defense is playing at this level, like, they have a chance. Like, and I'm not saying they're going to go into Arrowhead and win, but I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibility that if they can carry over the performance that they had this week, I think that team has the talent, the ability to compete, even without Diggs, even without Tank Dell in there. And you think about some of the matchups, and you start to break it down. And you look at the idea of Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter going up against the tackles, against Joe Thuney and Juwan Taylor. You can get yourself to a place where that could be a competitive game. So all four of those teams, I think, again, have some championship infrastructure, three more than the other one, because Houston hasn't really been there yet and isn't as established as the other three, but should be an exciting divisional weekend. As for the NFC, I would come out of this weekend, I would feel pretty good about myself if I was the Lions. That's my main takeaway from the weekend. I think the Eagles, we saw some of the issues with the passing game and where a team that can score could put them behind pretty quickly, and how if they get behind quickly in a game, they may struggle to come back. The Packers really focused early in that game on making it a drop back passing game, and they really and really forced the Eagles defense to carry the day. There was a point with 5 minutes left in the third quarter where Jalen Hurts had 39 yards passing. I think you saw some of the old frustration bubbling back up. So you sort of wonder where the Eagles are. You've got the Commanders, who it's just, they're a fantastic, fantastic story. But are they there yet? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure like that they would be able to hold up, against a Philadelphia or a Detroit in a playoff setting. And then you look at what we're going to have tonight with the Vikings and the Rams, and both those are really good teams. But again, like we saw what happened with Detroit, that it wasn't even like full strength. in a high leverage situation, how they were able to play against the Vikings, and the Rams have been sort of up and down over the course of the year. So where I think on the AFC side, you come out of the weekend and you say, man, like even with Houston, you can kind of get to a point where you see all four of them. You can see all four of them finding a way to get to New Orleans. On the NFC side, it feels a little bit more like we have a clear favorite.